Good evening, everyone, and a very warm welcome from Rwanda. My name is Ganza More Robert, and I am the Conservation Agriculture Lead at ShareScreen Africa. I'm joined here by my colleague, Diane Mumarungu, who is a coordinator at ShareScreen Africa as well. And together we are very happy and excited to be your hosts. Now, a huge welcome to Cultivate Africa, your virtual talk series designed to create a vibrant Pan-African community for everyone passionate about agriculture. Our mission is very simple. We want to bring together farmers, agronomists, researchers, lecturers, students to share their knowledge, discuss pressing challenges, and explore the innovative opportunities shaping our continent. And now to officially begin, we are truly privileged to have with us Mrs. Susan Romano, who is an agricultural professional and technical trainer at the College of Sustainable Agriculture, East Africa. She has a strong background in agribusiness and practical farming solutions. At the college, Susan implements hands-on training programs in crop production, soil fertility management, and entrepreneurship. She equips trainees with knowledge, skills, and attitudes in sustainable ecological agriculture. She will be unpacking rainwater harvesting and moisture retention. But the question is, why should we have such a talk? Given the escalating pressures of climate change, intensifying droughts, unpredictable rainfall patterns, and growing water insecurity in many regions, having a conversation on rainwater harvesting is more urgent than ever. As traditional water sources become strained by overuse, pollution, and shrinking aquifers, rainwater harvesting offers a decentralized, low-cost, and climate-resilient solution that empowers households and communities to supplement their water needs, reduce stormwater runoff, and recharge groundwater. Now, please join me in giving Susan a warm welcome. Susan, the screen is all yours.
Thank you, Robert, for the great introduction. I am Susan Romano, an agribusiness specialist and a trainer at the College of Sustainable Agriculture for Eastern Africa. Tonight, I'm delighted to be part of this team as we unpack rainwater harvesting and moisture retention made simple. I welcome you. I want us to start by reflecting on right now we're experiencing heavy rains. I'm sure they're in Rwanda, also here in Kenya, and we have water running down our roads on open fields and drainages, even flooding and all that. But we ask ourselves, yes, I'm sharing a presentation on making the most of rainwater harvesting and moisture retention by use of simple, practical, and effective methods. We start by knowing what is rainwater harvesting. And rainwater harvesting is simply collecting and storing rainwater for later use. And some of the sources of how we can collect our rainwater is by the use of the rooftops. The rainwater that is on the ground, that pours on the ground, on the roads, and also on open fields. My next item is why harvest rainwater. So through harvesting of rainwater, we are able to reduce dependence on unreliable rainfall because that we know that rain is seasonal. It's not every other season that we are able to get the rains, and so we need to harvest rainwater so that we can use it when we don't have the rains. Another reason is to prevent soil erosion. When we harvest our rainwater, then we are able to prevent soil erosion because there is not much surface runoff in our fields. Another reason is to improve food security. By harvesting rainwater, then it means we can have water for doing irrigation around the year, and this will help us to cultivate our crops all throughout all the seasons, during rainy seasons as well as the dry season. And this means that we can improve our food production and hence ensure food security. Another reason is that rainwater, it is free and sustainable water source because it's just a gift of nature, and so we need to harvest and make use of it. Another reason is that it will reduce on the water bills. We know that if we rely on the water bills can be so expensive, especially when it comes to farming activities, because when we rely from the water supplying companies, then the water bills will be unimaginable and will not be cost effective for farming. Another reason is it reduces flooding. If we are able to harvest the rainwater, then also we are able, even if we harvest through the dams, we harvest even on through use of trenches on our farms, then we can reduce the incidences of flooding. And we know that flooding has a negative effect even when it comes to agricultural production. And also it is a health hazard that floods, we find them doing a lot of destruction, including killing people. So when we harvest, we are able to harvest this rainwater, then it means we could manage the incidences of floods. Another reason is that rainwater, it is a reliable source of water during the dry seasons, because when you harvest and store enough, then this water can be used both for domestic use as well as for farming activities. The next slide is on untapped potential, and statistics show that globally 2.2 billion people, they lack safe drinking water, yet 88.5% they live in rainfall abundant areas. This is because people have lacked skills about rainwater harvesting, and also some people also especially in the rural communities, they lack the infrastructure, the storage facilities, also to be able to harvest the rainwater. So then it means we need to improve on how to collect, store and use the rainwater safely so that we can reduce the shortages. Also, through doing so, it means that we can connect to the Sustainable Development Goal number 6, which is access to clean water and sanitation. Then we ask ourselves the simple rainwater harvesting methods. The most simple rainwater harvesting methods that we can use include the use of the roof catchment systems, as illustrated in the picture in the slide. Also, we can use the water pans or ponds in our farms. We can do that and be able to harvest rainwater. By use of the water pans or ponds, we just need to line those ponds with polythene paper, and we are able to harvest rainwater that runs on the ground. Another way is by use of drums and containers. as well as the surface runoff collection. We can also collect using trenches in our farms so that we can be able to harvest and store for irrigation purposes. The key components in harvesting of rainwater include the catchment area, the gutters or the channels that we use in harvesting, the storage tanks or pits, and also the filters. We need to filter our water to ensure that there are no debris so that we can be able to harvest clean water. Then we ask ourselves, what is moisture retention? Moisture retention is simply keeping water in the soil for longer time. And this will prevent evaporation and rapid drainage of that particular water. It will not drain from our soils, but will be retained in the soil for use by crops at a later date. Then why should we why moisture retention matters? Moisture retention, it is important because crops survive dry periods, especially when we have erratic rainfall patterns, which we are experiencing now and then. Then it means the soil is able to hold enough moisture to use for use by the crops. Then also this will reduce the number of watering, meaning that even labor, there is it casts on the labor because labor costs. We know that labor is key, especially when it comes to crop production. So if our soils can be able to retain a lot of moisture, then also this will reduce the number of watering, and in turn it will reduce on the cost of labor for doing so, or even the irrigation infrastructure, which is also a bit expensive for most small-scale farmers. Also, it will improve when we retain moisture in the soil. This improves soil health because the soil will be able moisture. We know that moisture helps even for the crops to absorb various nutrients. It forms a platform where the nutrients are be able to be transported to the roots of our crops. And also it is water is important for the crops to be able to manufacture their foods through the use of photosynthesis. And also this will in turn increase the yields because then if the crops are able to manufacture more foods, then it means that this will lead to increased productivity. Some of the moisture retention techniques that we have are mulching, minimum tillage, use of cover crops, and also organic matter, which is compost. Mulching is whereby it's a farming practice whereby you can use dry materials, especially the grass or even leaves, so that you adequately cover your crops on the ground, so that be able to reduce evaporation of water or loss of water from the soil surface. And also, apart from moisture retention, there is another way that it helps in moisture retention, because mulch helps to regulate soil temperatures. By regulating soil temperatures, it means that we are able also to sustain the microbial activities in the soil. And this is will lead to healthier soils. Minimum tillage, it's a sustainable farming practice whereby you reduce soil disturbance as much as you can, and by reducing by not doing a lot of tilling in your farm, then it means that you're able to retain moisture because you don't expose your soil to the dry weather conditions. Some of the practices and minimum tillage are also, instead of you can use some methods of weeding, like uprooting, slashing, so that to ensure that you don't you least disturb your soil. Those are some of the practices. And minimum tillage. Use of cover crops. Cover crops, they help in retaining moisture, and it is encouraged to use especially legumes like the likes of desmodium, because apart from moisture retention, then these legumes are able to add nitrogen into our soils, which is it's a macronutrient that is very important, that is key to crop production. Other cover crops, you can use the likes of clover and also rye. These are some of the crops that are able to adequately cover the soil. And apart from moisture retention, cover crops also help in suppressing the weed growth, the growth of weeds. Cover crops also will help to control soil erosion, because the ground is adequately covered, meaning that there are no incidences of even the washing away of the topsoil by the rains when the rains are there. Also, cover crops also, they hand organic matter. After when they decompose, then it means it is additional organic matter to the soil, which also aids in improving moisture retention in our soils. And also use of organic matter like composts, the farmyard manure also, and also the likes of bokashi. All these are organic matter which help in the moisture, retaining moisture content in our soils. Then we have water conservation farming methods, and this includes zai pits or the planting basins. We also have contour farming and terracing, especially where the terrains are a bit slopey. Then we need to use such farming practices to ensure that we are able to conserve the water, because this slows down the movement of water on the ground. Also, the sunken beds, they are able to harvest. They are like more so like the zai pits, whereby they are able to harvest rainwater, and this rainwater, it is made available for crops, especially during the dry seasons. Then we have also retention ditches. Retention ditches is whereby you farmers can dig some ditches or trenches in their farms, so that to harvest the rainwater, and this rainwater they will use when the rains are not there to irrigate their crops. Then we need to combine both practices, that is harvesting of rainwater and moisture retention, so that we lead to this by combining harvesting of rainwater as well as ensuring that you're able to retain moisture in the soils. Then this means that you're able to this will lead to more efficient use of the rainwater, and in turn this will lead to healthier crops. The key strategies are or the catchment areas include the use of rooftops, and it is encouraged to use metal as well as corrugated iron sheets. They are assumed to be the best for harvesting of rainwater, due to, we know that when water comes into contact with iron, there is the aspect of rusting, and so we encourage use of corrugated iron sheets, so that even this water can be safe for human use. Also, the use of clean rooftops and also gutters. We need to clean the gutters regularly, especially at the start of the rains. We need to ensure that our gutters are clean, so that we can be able to harvest rainwater that is clean and safe for human consumption. The key strategies when it comes to storage solutions include use of large storage tanks or even the water pans, lined ponds. You can use a dime liner or just an intact polythene paper. It can be able to, because dam liners are expensive to most of the farmers, then they can improvise polythene sheets, as long as they are not torn. Then this will help in lining the ponds and harvesting of the rainwater. Also, to connect containers, we need to connect containers as illustrated in the pictures in this presentation, so that we ensure that we increase the storage capacity. Some of the key strategies include filtration and quality. This means we install the fast flush systems. We use gutters and screens to filter the debris, so that we ensure that the rainwater that we harvest, it is clean and safe for use by human and also livestock. And some of the best practices include inspecting the filters every 2 to 3 months. We are through inspection or inspecting the filters, then it means we are able also to identify in case of any repair that is required. Farmers are able to do so. We cover the tanks to prevent the breeding of mosquitoes, as well as contamination of water. So covering of water, it is very important. Also, it is good to cover the tanks because it can be a health hazard at home, to avoid even the small children drowning in the tanks. So we need to cover our tanks properly. Another best practice is use of infiltration pits for groundwater recharge. So by use of the infiltration pits, then we are able also to keep to store or to collect sufficient amounts of groundwater. Then use of zai pits and sunken bends, use water for irrigation as well as cleaning. Some of the common mistakes that we need to avoid in rainwater harvesting is we avoid uncovered tanks. As we've said earlier, that uncovered tanks, they form breeding grounds for mosquitoes. Also, there are health hazards that small children can also can drown in the tanks, as well as the contamination of water. Then another common mistake to avoid is the poor drainage. Over-tilling our lands, we say that we do minimum tillage, so that we are able to conserve more moisture in our soils, and also to avoid bare soil, because bare soils, they will encourage a lot of soil erosion to take place, and also the nutrients, they are carried away and they are not available for use by crops, and this means that there will be reduced yields. Benefits of harvesting of rainwater and moisture retention to farmers include better crop yields, because we said by harvesting of rainwater, water is made available for future use for irrigation purposes around the year. So this means that farmers are able to produce their crops around the year, and this translates to better crop yields. There's reduced irrigation needs. We say that if we are able to adequately retain moisture in our soils, then this will reduce the number of times that we need to do irrigation. It will also cut on cost of installing irrigation systems in place in our farms. Also, this will lead also improved soil health. We are able to improve the soil health. Benefits to communities include increased production with reduced drought impact, the lower water costs, because we won't rely on water supplying companies, but communities are able to harvest the rainwater through use of simple methods like the storage tanks and water pans at their homes, both for livestock as well as human consumption, and also for irrigating the crops. And this means that they will cut on cost of buying water from the water supplying companies. And it's a sustainable farming method, because if we are able to harvest the rainwater and also ensure that we are able to retain this water in the soils for longer periods, then this becomes a sustainable farming method, as we can it can be used over a long period of time, that water, and the methods are sustainable because they can be used for an extended period of time for farming activities. And in conclusion, I say that rainwater, it is variable. We use the simple methods, they will make a difference. We need to start small, and also every drop counts. We avoid wastage of the rainwater, because we find that we have rains, and then after the rains, because rains are seasonal, we find that immediately after the rains we start struggling with water to irrigate our crops, and yet we could have harvested that rainwater. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Susan. I think this was an insightful presentation, and to many of the things you talked about, I'll have to admit that were new knowledge to me, and I have some few questions to ask you just for better comprehension. And I would love to start with something very interesting called ZIPITs. In your water conservation farming methods, you talked about ZIPITs. I'd like to know what they are in details and how they help in creating soil fertility, if you don't mind talking more on ZIPITs.
Okay, thank you for that question, Robert. Let me try and share also a picture of a ZIPIT for more understanding as I explain what they are. This is an example. This is a ZIPIT, and how ZIPITs are linked to increase fertility is through how they are prepared. In preparing of ZIPITs, what happens is that you dig the topsoil, you keep it aside. Then you dig the subsoil and you keep it aside. Then you mix the topsoil with organic, with compost, especially or farmyard manure. But compost is more recommended because it has more nutrients than farmyard manure only, as compost is made by use of dry materials like grass, which is very rich in phosphorus. It is made using green materials, which are very rich in nitrogen. It is also made by use of undash, which adds potassium, and also the kitchen waste. So you can see that use of compost, it is better than just using also farmyard manure. It is a component that's used in the making of compost. So now you hand compost to the topsoil, and then you take it back to half of the pit that you've dug. You cover to half. Then after covering to half, you plant your crop, especially if you're establishing like vegetables. Then the remaining part you cover. Then you put some mulch on top. When you put some mulch on top, and let's assume that it's a dry season, because it is really encouraged during the dry periods. When you water your crops, that basin and the composts, there's a lot of organic matter inside there, as well as the mulch. It is able to retain that water. You'll find that your crops will do well even when the weather is too hot. So in that way, then ZIPITs, they help in increasing the fertility, the soil fertility.
Thank you so much. I'd like to ask, are ZIPITs applied to all types of crops, or there are some specific crops meant for ZIPITs and not others?
ZIPITs we can do for the annual crops, mostly for the annual crops like the maize, the vegetables, but they cannot be good maybe for, they can apply for the fruit trees. But what happens is that, when we do the fruit trees, the digging of the way that it is recommended to dig the holes, it is almost like a zai pit, because for a fruit tree, we do 60 centimeters by 60 by 60. And also we use the very same process. We separate the topsoil and the subsoil, and we add compost or organic, any other organic matter to that particular topsoil, and then we take it back to the pit. Then means even the fruit trees, it's only that for fruit trees, it means one pit can accommodate at least one tree. But it can be used for a number of, depending on the size, it can be used for several types of.
And
Okay.
I'd also love to ask about some rainwater harvesting techniques.
Yes.
Let's say you're working with a small scale farmer and
Yes.
he has a low budget. What would be the simplest way um, to start rainwater harvesting? You talked about different methods like roof catchment, uh, pans or ponds, drums and containers, surface runoff. What would be the simplest method and maybe budget friendly to a smallholder farmer to start doing rainwater harvesting?
Okay, thank you for that question, Robert. The most simple way for a small scale farmer that is low cost to harvesting of rainwater is by use of clean containers and then gutters. Gutters also can be improvised through use of clean old even iron sheets, whereby the farmers are able to improvise the gutters, and they are able to harvest their rainwater through the storage by use of clean storage containers. They don't have to buy those big storage tanks, which are a bit expensive, but they can just use the containers that are available in the homestead, and they are able to, by use of that, they are able to harvest their rainwater. Additionally, farmers can also do the likes of zai pits and water pans. Those are very simple ways they can be able to harvest rainwater and store it for future use. Another method also that can help in now ensuring that this rainwater is made available for later use, it is by we encourage practices like mulching as well as cover cropping. And mulching, they just need dry matter to do their mulch. Thank you.
No, thank you very much. I think for agriculture system in on our continent, it's so crucial to understand what works for small scale farmers, because majority of the farmers we have are small scale, and it's really important to know what works for them. I would love to take you through the real life situation of rainwater harvesting and moisture retention. If you can please, because last time we visited the college, we saw some rainwater harvesting techniques and moisture retention techniques. If you can take us through what rainwater harvesting looks like at the college and moisture retention, and what do you think has been the important what what do you think has been what gains did you get from having rainwater harvesting and some moisture retention techniques?
Some of the simple practical methods that we use in college to harvest the rainwater is by use of the gutters and the storage tanks. We have a number of them, and we normally, the tanks are interconnected so that we increase the capacity of storing our water. We also have underground tanks. We also have wells that are dug in the farm, and this helps in harvesting of the groundwater. We also have fertility trenches, whereby those trenches, they are able to harvest the rainwater, and this rainwater, like now, the rains are over here in Kenya, especially in the parts where our college is situated. And so this rainwater is the one that now, the stored water in the fertility trenches, in the storage tanks, that is what now we are using in irrigating our crops. And also some of the practices that we do, the sustainable farming practices that we do to ensure that we are able to retain moisture is we do a lot of mulching. because normally where our college is located, it is a dry area. So we apply a lot of mulch by use of dry grass to ensure that now we are able to retain moisture in the soil, and the crops are able to remain healthy and utilize that particular moisture so that we increase our production. And also we do composting. We also do use of the farmyard manure. We also do things like green manuring. When weeding, we do a lot of green manuring so that we increase the organic matter content in the soil and ensure that also we are able to retain more moisture in our soils.
Thank you very much. I think for anyone who wants to learn about rainwater harvesting or even some moisture retention techniques, I think College of Sustainable Agriculture East Africa is the best way to go and learn. You have some cool methods that you've used, and if it could be adapted to other parts of the continent, then that would be just like you said, it would be beneficial for different communities who are not resource rich. It could be very helpful for them. Thank you so much, Susan.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Robert. And my question is the follow-up question to what you just even asked and what Mrs. Susan just responded. But first of all, I want to appreciate her for giving us a great presentation, for taking your time. And now my question is about what is there one technique or practice that is at a low cost that small farmers could consider, that mostly we take advantage of or we even overlook it, but yet it could be effective for smallholder farmers who do not have probably much budget to build dams or bigger dams? But what is that one strategy smallholder farmers can use in their local communities to harvest rainwater?
Susan, maybe before answering that question, if I can add a little on that. As someone who lives on a daily basis, who lives on a farm, what did you see working in terms of low cost methods being used? What did you see on a real farm without this theoretical knowledge and all? What did you see being applied, and basically if you can give us a picture of the application of it?
Okay, thank you for the questions, Diana and Robert. Yes, there are low-cost methods that can be applied by even low-income farmers to harvest their rainwater and use it, especially even for their farming activities. And one of these methods they can collect through use of the available materials to them. They can be able to make the gutters and collect water, the rainwater from their rooftops into the containers that are available to them. It is not a must that they build those, they buy those big storage tanks. They can use what is available to them. And also to collect the rainwater, and also the cleaning, it is simple. They can just be able to clean and ensure they remove the debris, even the gutters they construct, and they are able to collect sufficient amount of water. They can do simple water pumps by using things like dam liners, of which they can improvise. They can be able to improvise even the dam liners, and they can be able to store water not only for crop production, also they can use that water to feed their livestock, and also learn about the moisture retention techniques like applying of mulch. For the mulch, it is low cost. They just need some dry vegetation, especially in grass. Grass is all over. especially where they are able to get rains. When they apply mulch, they need to know that how effective is mulching. And mulching, I've said that it is effective in a number of ways, in that it is able to regulate the soil temperatures. It is able also to reduce the amount of evaporation of this rainwater, hence meaning that this means that more water will be available for use even by their crops. They can use simple techniques like the zai pits. They just need to dig the zai pits and also the sunken bends, and they are able to collect sufficient amount of water for use by their crops even when because the rains are erratic. When the rains are even stop and it is too hot, those basins, they are able to harvest sufficient amounts of water, and this water is made available to the crops.
After asked, how do farmers decide the size and spacing of zai pits for different crops, and what are the biggest challenges farmers face when using zai pits, especially in the beginning?
Zai pits, you can use they're about 20 to 30 centimeters in terms of depth, 1 to 2 meters in terms of about 1 meter in terms of the width. The length can be of your choice, because you need to observe, you need to be keen on your width because of assessing your crops. So those are the dimensions of a zai pit. And I don't think that zai pits have any challenges, can pose any challenges to the farmers, because they are simple and practical methods of being able to harvest rainwater. And not only even they are not only useful when it comes to rainwater harvesting, but even during the dry seasons, they are able, when you irrigate your crops, they are able to retain a sufficient amount of water, because water loss is really minimized, because you incorporate, while preparing them, you incorporate also the organic matter, as well as you also add mulch after preparing them. Then in terms of spacing, it will depend with the crop that you want to establish in your zai pit. And also the agroecological conditions of that particular place where you want to establish your crops. For instance, if I were establishing maize in a zai pit, I would still use about 75, the spacing of 75 by 30 centimeters to establish my maize. If it were vegetables like kales, you can do even 30 centimeters by 30. Yeah, it will depend on which particular crop that you want to establish. And also the size of your zai pit, because you establish many of them, you leave a pathway, you line them. You can establish as many as possible as you can, depending with your size of land. It's something close to this, but the picture doesn't reflect the zai pits completely.
We have a question from Tekla Shimra. She said, "Thank you, Susan, for this insightful presentation. I'd like to ask a question. It is obvious that collecting rainwater is very important for the farm production. What causes many farmers not to adopt this, while it would be beneficial for them in different ways?"
Thank you for that question. I believe that farmers do not collect rainwater because they are not aware of, they lack the knowledge on rainwater harvesting techniques, the simple methods that they can use, and even after collecting this water, how well to use this water and to ensure that they are able to retain, to ensure that their soils also remain moist. I am sure it is due to lack of adequate knowledge, especially in the rainwater harvesting methods that are simple and that are practical to them, as well as ways of ensuring that now, even after harvesting the rainwater, then how do we maintain the moisture to ensure that we don't lose this water even after we've harvested.
Thank you very much for this informative. Yeah, actually, I don't have a specific question, but I want to add some more information regarding to my country and my region and my situation. As you know, climate change now is an international issue beyond the borders. I am served as an agriculture engineer from the Iraqi Kurdistan region. Now we have totally depended on harvesting water or rainwater harvesting by creating or building ponds and small dams, because according of topographic or geographical area, we have a lot of valleys between hills and among mountains. Why we started with the small ponds, and after collecting and harvesting water, we have irrigation channel from the resources of water to land farmers. We don't have like your style as individual, because one problem for our farmers is they have small area land. Sometimes, for example, some farmers have less than 2 hectares, like this. Just I wanted to tell you some information like my situation from the Iraqi Kurdistan region, north of Iraq. Thank you.
No, thank you so much, Albast. I think that's an eye-opener situation for them. One thing I would tell you, Albast, is that regarding the size of the farms, it seems to be a shared experience, because here in Rwanda, the average size is 0.2 hectares. So I'd say you are way better off than us a little bit. But in regards to the formation of dams and creation of channels between the inland and those dams, it's so intriguing. I'd love to see how it's being done, and if it could be applied to many parts of the world, it would at least have a share of solution towards the climate change issues. All right, we have a hand from Protogene. Protogene, if you can unmute yourself and ask.
Thank you. Thank you for the good maybe presentation. I think this was like very insightful to share the knowledge, the experience, perspective, and also if possible the way of adoption to some other places without the familiar the techniques they mentioned. So I was about to add something. It's a kind of a little experience on our side. I'm currently working with a smallholder farmers in eastern part of Rwanda, and the most things we are doing to ensure that farmers just go with the whole system and adopt these like kind of harvesting rainwater and using them in irrigation. Specifically in east part of Rwanda is the prone to drought compared to other parts of Rwanda, and it is they are enforcing much. I mean the efforts to put some irrigation in those areas to ensure resilience to the soil in such parts. So as a conservation agriculture graduate, and of course I'm interested in that, that's why we are working with farmers to ensure that such issues can be eradicated. So that's when we help farmers to create something called dam sheets. We are constructing them in a somehow on highland and then we create something like ditches, channels, which are used to I mean to which are used to direct those water from rooftops with a collaboration of local government and farmers, and those water are going to be collected in those dam sheets. Actually, with the efforts of farmers and local government, those things are very possible and easy to handle and for the farmers to adopt. So farmers are using like a gravitational way of irrigating their crops using some hydrants in their fields with I mean the collaboration is a key for them, and then farmers are adopting them. So collecting those water and using them in during maybe the dry season. Most of the time during the dry season, the farmers are getting to used to it, and they are adopting to like a large part. So if you have interest, some of the guys we have in a panel, in the room, they can maybe go deep with the research of on this adoption of dam sheets as a way of farmers understanding the adoption of this harvesting water for irrigation. So thank you. I was just sharing the experience we are having, in this east part of Rwanda, in Kayonza district.
Mm.
Thank you.
No, thank you, Protogen. Thank you. Maybe while we still have you on the screen, I just have a small question for you. You talked about how the communities use gravity ditches to direct water into the dam sheets. And you do this in the eastern part of Rwanda. For those who don't know, the eastern part is more of a flat landscape, but Rwanda is a hilly country. And my question to Protogen is, do you see this technique that you use being applied in places like northern Rwanda or western part of the country where we have so much of mountains and hills? How do you see this technique being applied, or do you even have an alternative to it?
Oh, thank you, Mr. Robert, for the question. Actually, it's more practical use such a way in highland because, as I said, for water being like directed to the farm using like gravitational techniques means that we are directing them without like applying some any kind of pressure or pumping them. So means for them to go to the farm, to be directed to the farm, there will be some like high hill, a certain slope for water to go down from the top to the two down. So those dam sheets are going to be constructed on a place which is like slightly higher, and if the land such as those in the north part of Rwanda and the western part of Rwanda apply this dam sheet, construction for like correcting water for irrigation is very, very practical compared to other parts of like uh, pumping water from like low run to higher run using like those rain gun or either sprinklers, whatever. So using these ditches in a high run and correct water and direct them down here to the farms is very simple and practical compared to other pressurized like way of irrigating.
Thank you so much, Protogen. I think you explained it really well, and yeah, but I think there's so many techniques being applied, and one of them are those dam sheets, and I'm glad that Protogen is on the screen and got to explain them. And getting back to the presentation and what Susan talked about, we have a question, and it's asking if someone has very limited resources, where should they begin? Harvesting water or improving moisture retention? Considering small scale farmers in on our continent have limited resources, where should they start from?
Thank you, Robert, for that question. I believe that they need to harvest and also ensure that they are able to retain moisture, because if we don't harvest, then where do we get this water from? And assuming that maybe even we don't have any other source of water available to these farmers, I feel that rainwater harvesting will go hand in hand. After you harvest, you also need to learn how do you ensure that this water is used efficiently to carry out your farming activities. This water is used efficiently also even for homestead use. I feel that they will go hand in hand, harvesting as well as to learn on moisture retention techniques, which are very simple, because we are talking about mulching, cover cropping. We are talking about minimum tillage, whereby those are very simple and practical methods that any farmer is able to employ in his farming or farming activities. So I believe they will go hand in hand to learn about harvesting and as well as the moisture retention techniques to use to ensure now that after harvesting, this water is used efficiently.
No, thank you, Ruth. No, I mean Susan. Reason why I said Ruth is because I would like to get the experience from the College of Sustainable Agriculture, East Africa, and I know you are one of the trainers there. Maybe my final question, because we are towards the end of the session, is you to give us a practical experience of rainwater harvesting at the college, where you've started from. We visited the college last year and we saw different techniques of rainwater harvesting. I'd like to get a picture of how it's being applied at the college and what has been the benefits of it.
Thank you for that question, Robert. Yes, at the College of Sustainable Agriculture for Eastern Africa, we do rainwater harvesting by use of different methods, but mostly we collect from the rooftops, whereby we've constructed the gutters that collect the rainwater, and that water is collected into storage tanks. And also we have we also have underground tanks whereby we collect as well that rainwater, but it is now pumped into distribution tanks that are able now to supply either to the hostels for students to use, and also as well as to the farm for use by livestock, as well as irrigating our crops. At the college, we also have shallow wells whereby they are able also to collect the rainwater. We have some retention ditches. They are also able to collect that rainwater, and this water is made available to crops, especially during the dry season. You find that crops like bananas, they can be sustained by that water for a long period, bearing in mind that we are located also at a place whereby after the rains are over, it is too hot. But this water we are able to use it, and also by use of several methods of moisture retention techniques, applying composts to our farms, mulching. We do a lot of mulching as well. We do minimum tillage, whereby we don't keep on tilling our land. Sometimes we leave it undisturbed, and by use of these methods, we are able to make the best out of the rain water harvesting.
Thank you, Susan. We have a hand from Johan. Johan, if you can go.
Thank you, Robert, and thank you, Susan, for sharing with us tonight. I would just like to ask Mr. Sarbast Omer, I'm not sure, I apologize for possibly incorrectly pronouncing your name. We don't often have guests from Iraq on our program, so I'd just like to know from you the concept of conservation and regenerative agriculture. Is it something that is well known in your part of the world, and is it something that you practice? And is it new there? I'm just interested to know.
Hello again. Actually, Iraq is one country is facing severe climate change recently. Iran and Turkey to sharing water resources because main rivers resources following from Iran and Turkey. But fortunately, this year, too much precipitation. According in north of Iraq, average above 1,000 millimeter rainwater following so far. Usually, north of Iraq, it means my region, Iraqi Khorasan region, different topography with the middle and south of Iraq. We have too much valleys between hills and mountains. And from higher place to lower place, it means following water from ponds and small dams by gravity or by, it means automatically from higher places to lower places. And about irrigation, at the moment, fortunately, farmers totally changed mind from traditional water irrigation, surface water, to like other types of irrigations, like drip irrigation for orchards and sprinkler irrigation for wheat, maize, and alfalfa like this. Could I answer your question or not?
It's very, very interesting. Thank you very much. It's really interesting to learn from a completely different part of the world. And I hope that we will see you again in our next session of Cultivate Africa.
I would like you to give some closing remarks, and we'll call it a night.
Okay, thank you so much, Robert, for and the Sheskin Africa for having me on board this evening. I'd like to say that the question is not about water shortage, it's about water management. It's not about water scarcity. Water is there, it is available in plenty, especially even when we talk about even your country, Rwanda, even here in Kenya. The question is about how do we harvest rainwater and how to manage it. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for being here. We are